Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now September 2nd of 2020, and ever since the very end of the Skywalker saga, a lot of fans around the world have been very curious and skeptical, mind you, about the future of the Star Wars franchise by Disney, Lucasfilm, Bob Iger, Bob Chapek, you name it, and exactly what they are about to deliver for the fandom around the entire world. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Disney Star Wars is that, yes, we do know that they are aiming to craft a brand new universe that's really going to be modeled for a more positive direction of Star Wars. Kind of shifting away from Kathleen Kennedy's, agendas that she was really throwing at with the previous TV shows and movies that she was in charge of, that recently all have been getting canceled one by one in the finalized process by Bob Chapek. Now, the thing about Bob Chapek, the new Disney CEO, which by the way, he is still being shown the ropes to becoming the proper CEO by Bob Iger, the previous one, before Iger leaves Disney completely as soon as next year in 2021, around January or February. Now, the thing about Chapek is that he only wants the best for the fans. He's also trying to create a name for himself. He's really trying to create his own legacy with Star Wars and also with Marvel, these two massive franchises that are really on Disney's hands right now, that they are trying to steer in the right direction, right? So looking at everything related to Star Wars, right, we do know that they have over 10 years worth of Star Wars TV shows in the works on Disney Plus alone. Now that to me is already very impressive, as long as it's all quality made. If they can focus on quality, that's all that really matters at the end of the day, right? So when you think about it like this, is that we also have George Lucas in the works with all these different TV shows and movies with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni by his side. However, what's really intriguing is that since the very end of the sequel trilogy, both Disney and Lucasfilm have been invested in developing their new Star Wars universe that will take full advantage of Star Wars legends and original stories by George Lucas, Dave Filoni, and even Jon Favreau. Now, it's noted that recently Bob Chapek made major changes behind the scenes over at Lucasfilm in order to begin the building process to success for the fandom. It's described, however, that recently creator George Lucas made a drastic change to the Star Wars universe for the fans to enjoy around the world. Now, it's described that not so long ago, George Lucas fired Kathleen Kennedy from a very important Star Wars project that was going to be released sometime in 2022 on Disney+. This was a TV series that Kennedy was working on that was going to be Brie Larson's second TV show for Disney+, apart from working on the already established TV show that, of course, is being developed by Leslie Headland for Disney+, in case you guys did not know that. Now, one major factor that led, George Lucas to firing Kathleen Kennedy from the project is that Kennedy was taking fan-favorite Star Wars Legends characters and completely changing their background and backstory and dropping them into a different timeline that Lucas created and approved years ago. So in case you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, is that essentially Kennedy took Star Wars Legends characters. Let's take a great example here. Just an example, hypothetically speaking, it's as if Kennedy took Mara Jade and threw her into an era that takes place before the prequel trilogy era, where that character would be completely changed and not even associated with George Lucas's vision. Kind of something like that, where she took a lot of Legends characters, threw them in a different mythology or a different era, and completely changed their names and their overall design and stuff around those lines, only using those characters as inspiration, essentially. Not just that, but it's explained, however, that beyond all of this, Bob Chapek is the one who allowed Lucas to pull the plug on Kathleen Kennedy from working on this project, since by contract, at minimum, Kennedy is allowed to work on one Star Wars project, and that this was no longer necessary to Disney, and that Lucas is now reforging or reimagining the series with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. Kennedy was originally going to create a series that would also make the Force have a consciousness in the show. Now, this to me already sounds horrible, and that the Force was a magical entity that would be able to think for itself. Now, let's stop right here, because this sounds disastrous. I don't know about you guys, but Kennedy trying to make the Force like a consciousness being in and on itself. We're not talking about the wills, by the way. We're talking about just the idea of the Force having a consciousness is what Kennedy was aiming for to be a subplot in this new Star Wars TV show for Disney+. This, to me, I don't even know what to think right now. I mean, I have no words. I really don't understand why Kathleen Kennedy would want to do something like that, or would even think about doing something like that. And I would have no doubt in my mind that Kathleen Kennedy knew exactly what she was doing at the same exact time, knew that it would really frustrate and anger a lot of fans out there, but that this, at the end of the day, was her own attempt, obviously, to attract new fans, which, by the way, was indeed one of her major plans for this new Star Wars universe that she was initially working on. Now, Lucas saw this as a terrible decision by Kathleen Kennedy and a terrible concept that would destroy the franchise forever, and brought this up to Chapek, and that Chapek was able to come to a conclusion to delete this show from the roadmap of Star Wars. Now, not just that, but also George Lucas fired Kennedy from the project, since Kennedy was hiring writers and directors that were pushing the woke narrative for Star Wars, and that they were all focused on agenda over proper stories to be told, as well as character development for the fans to engage in. Lucas knew that this project was doomed to fail, and was quick to make the right decisions before any major damage would be done to their planned streak of great TV shows coming on Disney+. Now, it's further noted that also Chapek and Lucas had long conversations with each other about Kennedy's leadership, and that it was Lucas's idea to keep her only with what's in her contract to handle at least one Star Wars TV show at minimum, and that's it. The canceled series was also going to make major retcons to the prequel trilogy movies in a more negative way that would have changed the movies for the worst, and that would have actually in turn created fan backlash, worse than The Last Jedi's backlash after what Rian Johnson had done with that film back in 2017. This process of firing Kennedy from the project took roughly 2 weeks. So once again, guys, like I say, I mean, we can see that Kathleen Kennedy was never really meant for Star Wars. She only saw this as a business opportunity, right? This was basically her opportunity to take full advantage of a property, to throw the Star Wars label on top of it, and to do as she pleased with these actual Star Wars films and TV shows. And in reality, she really didn't care about the Star Wars fans. She really didn't care about the Star Wars community in any way, shape, or form. And even though it is very unfortunate, they really could have prevented this from the very start. I mean, let's be honest. If you guys go ahead and check out that interview between Lucas and Kennedy I would say back in 2013 it was. If you go back and take a look at the comments on that video, many years ago, right when the video dropped on the official Star Wars YouTube channel, you could already see people saying, I have a very bad feeling about this, I really don't know what to think about Star Wars right now. I mean, there's tons of comments on there that are very much against Kennedy right from the very beginning, even before a shred of footage of the sequel trilogy was released. It's actually quite interesting and funny to look at, given that a lot of people already had a sense of what was coming. And you know what? Back in 2013, I felt the same exact way. I didn't really know what quite to think about Disney Star Wars being a thing. I was honestly very worried about it because, let's face it, they're more on the PC side of things. They like to be very politically correct. They like to be, less involved with the overall, I guess you could say, violence per se. And one great example, that I just thought of is that, dismemberments, a common tradition in the prequels and the originals, completely absent for the most part from the sequel trilogy. The main character, like Rey, doesn't lose a hand or an arm or anything around those lines. Neither does Kylo Ren. And say what you will, but it is a tradition in Star Wars for a main character to really lose a limb and to go through the process of getting a prosthetic. It's just a poetic part of Star Wars. That's a part of either the villain or the hero, right? And that's just one example. I mean, the whole politically correct thing, of Disney Star Wars. So, like I've said before in the past, guys, I think that we still are really on the road to a greater path of Star Wars, given that George, John, and Dave are working together. I'm very excited about that. So, yeah, guys, with that being said, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Night to moon, we hear them moans again.